Looky there. Now we got the star of the show. That one right there, you can bark at
Oh,
her. She's evil. He's actually, he wears on you. He's kind of cool.
look.
Yeah. Oh.
Welcome to Fairway to Heaven, a Live Golf podcast. My name is Sue Ann Heng, and with me is my co-host Jerry Foltz, Jelly Farts, as I like to call him.
Enough.
It's the best nickname ever.
My sister's calling me that now. I had to explain to her the origin of it. Yes.
Brilliant. It is the best nickname for Jerry and the most accurate nickname, actually, too. You are a jelly fart.
Come on, help me out here.
You're a jelly fart.
It is how Michelle Wee's parents pronounced my name, being of Asian descent and and struggling with the American pronunciation of L's and R's.
Willie Balls knows better to not get involved in this dynamic relationship that we have.
Really? I'm trying to, dynamic.
Please don't.
Dynamic.
Please don't try.
Please don't. Don't even go there. Don't even go there. We have a special guest joining us today. Take a wild guess. I don't think my t-shirt's giving it away, is it? Oh, no. I don't know, maybe. Oh, no. No. Anyways, really excited for that. But in the meantime, Jelly Farts, let's talk about Puig. David.
Let's talk about it. David.
Yeah, he won the Malaysian Open, and he qualified for the Open Championship. This was his second Asian Tour win in the last 5 months.
Yes, but he can't play impressive. 72 holes. It must have been an exhibition.
And no, they can't make the cut. They can't play.
No, well, there have been, I believe, reported on the Twitter, so it must be official. There have been 3 events that were Open Championship qualifying events, and all 3 have been won by Live Golf players: Dean Burmester, Wako Neiman, and David Puig. And he made the cut on the number, and what, 18 birdies balls on the weekend or something like that.
Yeah, 62-62 with 18 birdies, 18 pars.
No bogeys.
Yeah, no bogeys. That's impressive. I know we talked about him a little bit, but he is truly an impressive young player. In some ways, on Live, because there are so many big names, you don't really look at someone like David Puig. I mean, we've obviously seen some brilliance from him last season when he was on Torquay. But even then, because we do have so many great big names on the league, someone like him, it often gets overlooked, right? But he is an impressive player, and he hits the ball a flippin' long way.
He does, and he's about your weight, so soaking wet.
I think he might be lighter than me. He might be lighter than me.
You know what? When he was in that, I think he was in the very first Live event in London. I think he played as an amateur, if I'm not mistaken. He hadn't even yet turned pro, because I had just got done watching him play on TV. I think Karen was covering at the NCAA's out in Scottsdale, and all of a sudden he shows up, and I'm like, this is strange. But both he and Chikara turned quite a few heads when they both ultimately signed with Live, because not only did we have a number of the biggest names in the game sign with us initially or shortly thereafter, we had some of the biggest, brightest talent coming out of college signing with us. And I think that really got people opened a lot of eyes to that this is indeed a pretty cool pathway. Now, I know we had Caleb Surratt on last week, and he is beyond impressive. But I remember talking to an agent in Miami at the end of 2002, so our 8th event. And he knows and deals with a lot of college players who are going to turn pro, helps them out with the NIL and this and that. And he goes, you wouldn't believe the number of them that are looking to Live as the goal now. Now, obviously, there's not room for everybody, and we got really lucky to get Surratt, and I think he feels fortunate to be part of Live. But a lot of them view it as now a legitimate, not alternative, but goal to start their career. And I think, it won't be that long now, in my opinion, until all the other mess is behind us and the majors don't pay attention to the world golf rankings anymore and actually promote their best field. So pretty exciting. I think he kind of led the way in that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, if you, I know last week Caleb talked about how much he's already grown just playing 2 events, right? With Liv and being a part of John Rahm's team. I think you can certainly tell from Puig's way that he plays and how he's grown as a player as well. He's young. He's like, what, 21?
Yeah, he's the youngest player.
Maybe?
Oh, no, he's
Yeah.
second
Well, now
youngest
Caleb
now.
is, but now he's the second youngest. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, he has Alberto Sanchez on the bag, who's basically a teammate of John Rahm's, right? At ASU. Yeah. And I think now David actually does a lot of practice with John as well in Arizona. So really cool stuff. Yeah. So now we do have 13 players playing in the Open Championship. Really fun. You already named 3 of them. So there's Meronk, Cam Smith, DeChambeau, Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, Mickelson, Oosthuizen, Stenson, Tyrrell Hatton, pardon me, and John Rahm. Yeah. Exciting stuff. I can't wait to get the major season started.
And then a number of other guys who, at least for this year, are going to go through the qualifying process, which we didn't see a ton of last year, but we will see more of this year. I know Sergio tried and a few others. Yeah. Caleb's going to try, and they're all going to do their part to play by the existing infrastructure ecosystem, if you will, and continue to, like we keep doing over and over with Liv, keep showing the world what we're about and not worrying about all the other stuff that it entails, because the players can't worry about it. They just go out and play great golf. I think last year's majors were proof of that. Brooks Koepka notably, and then the off season this year with Burmester, Oosthuizen, Joaquin, and now Puig, doing what they've done. It just if that doesn't open eyes, then I don't think you really are even looking for the daylight.
Yeah. Well, Jerry, we just the PGA Tour just wrapped up Genesis. A few stories there. Obviously, Hideki winning after 2 years. That was, always a good one to watch. But obviously, one of the biggest stories was Tiger on a golf cart heading back to the clubhouse due to an injury. It's always tough. It's always tough watching Tiger go through that.
This one was reportedly, he even said it. He released a statement that it was a flu, so it was a sickness. A lot of guys got it. I guess Tom Kim almost missed his tee time because he was having some issues, and Jordan Spieth got DQ'd because he had to run out of the scoring tent. Essentially, by the rules of golf, all he had to do was say, "I have an emergency. I'll be right back as soon as I can." He would have been fine, but he didn't. Signed it after bogey in the last hole. Had to get to the bathroom. A lot of guys were dealing with it, much like we had in Mexico. And it sucks watching Tiger at this stage of his career when the so much of the curiosity about watching him play golf is how's he walking, how's he swinging, is he going to finish, is he going to play 36 holes, because there's been so many DQs, not DQs but WDs since he has come back from the injury, and even before that from previous injuries. And it's unfortunate for his event. He's the host. Unfortunate for Genesis. Certainly unfortunate for the fans. But in the end, they got a worthy champion who played great golf on Sunday.
Yeah, it's Hideki's always. I always root for Hideki, not because he's Asian and whatever, but he's just a good guy, and there's so much respect for the game. And I think it does big things for golf in Japan, and talk about growth of the game, right? He was, when he won the Masters, oh my God.
I bought the t-shirt. I think Barstool came up with it with almost a caricature of Shota bowing on the 18th green with the flagstick. I bought that t-shirt.
Oh, you bought it? I need to buy it. That was such a moment. I think it was my top 5 favorite moments in golf ever.
And that was awesome of that camera guy. I know they have a million cameras there, but awesome of that camera guy to stay on him and the people in the tape machines to keep that rolling, of a caddy replacing a flag. And that became the most iconic moment of that Masters. I'll remember that forever.
Yeah. Well, we wish Tiger all the best. Hope he feels better. And I am looking forward to watching him play the next one.
Yes, whatever that may be. We all are. We're all fans of golf.
Whatever that may be. All right, well, it's time to let our special guest into our Zoom meeting. He is the captain of Crush's GC. I had the privilege to spend a little time with him in Vegas. He is none other than Mr. 58, Bryson DeChambeau. What's up, Bryson? How are you?
I'm good. How y'all doing?
Good, good. Are you in your new place yet, or is that?
It's a part of my new place, so this is like a secondary quarters.
Secondary quarters.
Oh, sorry. That's
wait,
like
wait, you're single. You're single,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, I am.
And you got
I guess
secondary
that's kind of like
quarters
a
too.
subtle jab to everybody else. I don't mean that in any way, but
More specifically me, because I'm in Singapore in a house that's about 800 square feet. So
time
your
is it there?
second quarter, it is 9 in the
oh,
morning.
that's not bad. So you're tomorrow. You're in Tomorrowland.
I am, yes.
You're the next
or
day land. Yeah.
I've
Yeah,
time
works.
traveled ahead of
Yeah.
you guys, basically.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually
We
have
have-
a good time travel story real quickly. On my birthday when I was turning 21, I was in Japan, Karuizawa number 72 for the World Amateur, and we won. And we were flying back on the 16th. Night of the 15th. It became the 16th on the airplane. So I turned 21 on the airplane, and then when I landed in Atlanta, I turned back to being 20 until later that night. So I turned 21 twice, which is kind of a funny thing.
What, but isn't that great though? You got to celebrate it twice.
I did get celebrated twice, actually. It was kind of funny.
2 more years, I'll have turned 21 3 times.
Well, that's not,
Yeah.
I'm not there yet. That's so
by the way, do you like my t-shirt?
I love it.
Oh,
Right?
It's great.
She's
Yeah.
such a suck
Look,
up.
I mean,
Such
look.
a suck
I know,
up.
right? What's the Europe
Yeah.
bags doing behind you?
What?
Karen, you know Karen
yeah.
Stuffles.
Yeah.
That's my love of my life.
Oh,
so
beautiful.
she's followed you before,
Yep.
actually. Yeah, those are her Solheim Cup bags.
That's right. That's cool. That's awesome.
Talk about
The trophy.
Talk
The
about
the trophy
sucking
shelf.
up. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Trophy shelf in our house is not a fair fight.
That's awesome. Well, cool. Let's do this thing.
Jerry, you want to
Lead
take
the
it?
way.
You
No,
lead
you
the
lead.
way.
You lead. All right, I'll
Oh.
lead the way.
I could lead.
I like that.
First of all, now you lead. Bryson, you
Yeah,
lead.
you
You
lead.
So
ask.
Jerry, what do you think
Turn
about
around.
what Liv has got going on? And Sue-Ann, what is your new experience with some commentators on board? And come on, give me your best interpretation of the year and what you think it's going to mean for the Liv Golf League moving forward over the next couple of years, and how do you intend to impact the league in a positive way?
It's fucking
Wow.
awesome.
Our jobs are
language.
Our jobs are safe if that was an audition.
I'll let you go.
What do you
that's
think?
brilliant.
What do you think? What do you think about the league, Bryson? Seriously, and then
man.
just to start the official questions, what are your goals personally and for the league also?
Oh, wow. Well, I'd start with the league at first. I was talking to, I would say, numerous people back in 2020 about this idea. And we didn't really know what this was going to be, PGL, SLGs, just different type of variations of it and different people coming into play. And we didn't really know what this would be or mean. And as time went on, talking with Phil and DJ and Brooks, trying to come up with a solution for the game of golf. And, it took a lot of pressure for us to get over, for us to go, all right, you know what, we're comfortable making this type of commitment and jump. It took a lot for us to make that jump. Ultimately, we know in the long run, this is going to be an amazing product for the game of golf globally and what we can do globally in regards to bringing everybody back together at some point. Not only back together, but creating more value in the game of golf and building more assets for the game of golf. That's one thing that I believe is underrated. And how do I say it? It's an understated approach that we have to this aspect of the game in this business. And what I mean by that is like building out infrastructure, potentially building golf courses, which I think a few teams are looking into doing, building out some academies, doing that. And all this stuff takes time. This is not like it's an easy flip of the switch sort of thing. This idea of Live Golf has been going on for quite a while now. started back with Greg Norman, and we've always heard on the PGA Tour, when I was on the PGA Tour, little whispers of things all the time. We never thought anything would happen, but as HE came to the table and the PIF came to the table and we're very serious about it, we all said, okay, this is real. How can we be a part of it, and how do we maximize it and grow the game in a unique, different way? Albeit some people do not think that way as of right now. Over the course of time, I truly do believe with our endearing efforts to continue this progress that we have been making globally, people will eventually see the light at the end of the tunnel of what we're trying to do. And I'm excited for that. That's one thing that I can't wait to do with the Crushers, whether it be in India, over in the UK, in Arizona, Florida, Texas, anywhere in the world that people want the Crushers, we want to be, and we want to help grow the game of golf. And that's going to start out with some academies. It's going to start out with or eventually create a golf course at some point, partner with someone. We don't know necessarily what that looks like. And then having a charitable aspect attached to it, which is what we're developing and creating as well in conjunction. I know the Majestics already have that, the little sticks, which is really cool. And they're going to continue to go down that route. And we're going to be able to provide some pretty cool opportunities for others that are more or less struggling to get into the game, because it is an expensive game. And we don't want that to be a stopping point for a lot of individuals. So that's just kind of what it is initially. Then my goals, I'll just keep it quite simple compared to the last answer. I would say winning a bunch of tournaments and growing the game from 100 million golfers as it currently all the way up to 150. And if we can go beyond, that's fantastic. That's ultimately what I want for the game of golf, is to continue to grow it, because it is awesome how we're able to develop character, integrity, honor, all of those principles and characteristics that bring out a positive human interaction. That's just the way I look at it. Positive characteristic traits of human beings that we can all come together and we can agree upon. One thing, it's in this day and age, it's tough to come to terms and figure stuff out. Currently, look at the golf landscape, right? And there's a lot of people with a lot of egos right now. And I'd say that death to egos is possibly the most empowering thing we could have in today's day and age in this game. If we can have that, I think a lot more gets done in a positive way. But unfortunately, it's just kind of the way it is right now in the current situation. But one day that death to egos will occur, and I can't wait for that.
Well,
Death
what do you
to
think?
egos. That sounds like a bumper sticker. I like it.
I know.
I love it, actually.
I know.
Yeah. And that
What do you
applies
think?
to broadcasters as well.
Sure. Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, yeah.
Look, yes, especially you guys. No, I'm kidding.
Yes.
No, but in all seriousness, I think everybody has to take a step back and go, okay, where are we all sitting? What are we trying to accomplish? And how do we accomplish it together rather than apart?
Yeah.
And if we can say those three questions and answer those three questions effectively, we're on our way to growing the game and bringing it back together in a very cool way.
Yeah. Part of how you grow the game is how much content you actually pump up.
It's a part of it.
Ridiculous.
That is a part of it. We do a decent amount.
And the millions of views that you get on your YouTube channel. I was on the treadmill yesterday, and so I watched a couple of episodes of your series. I think I went all the way back to one of the older ones when you had this, you were still building your place. I think it was just absolutely like bare, and you had a couple of things. I think you were playing at the Byron Nelson that week.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Man, that was a long time ago.
That was a long time
original
ago.
video.
Yeah. But
that was the video that caused a lot of problems, by the way.
Really? In what way?
Oh, yes. Digital media rights.
That's
what spurred a lot of problems with the other side. And they didn't like the fact that I was utilizing on-course footage that we acquired, that I had my guys acquire. And, it's unfortunate. I wish that, and it's becoming a lot more lenient, which is fantastic. I think that's the way that both the league and the tour need to move in order to stay relevant and also help grow the game. We're moving into a unique dynamic nowadays, and people don't truly understand that, look, broadcast is still fantastic. It is still relevant, but I think there's another niche that we can tackle that can help grow this game in a younger way. And that comes through different platforms, whether it be a bit of streaming, whether it be a bit of YouTube, whether it be a bit of individual channels on different websites that have a massive following. It doesn't really matter. I think the most important thing is looking at the situation holistically and saying, how do we gather as many people and bring them in together to see this product? I think that is the ultimate goal with this, because ultimately what we all want is eyeballs. And it's great that we have all this social media presence, but how do we create, a following that truly cares and wants to be a part of it and continues to aspire to be out in the Live Golf League and want to be on the Crushers or whatever team? I think that is the thought process we kind of have to have now, compared to just the normal, let's just go through the ranks and hopefully I get on the PGA Tour. And if not, I'm going to play in the Latin America Tour, Canadian, or go to the Asian Tour, international, series. And that's what's so great about Live too, is the ability to go either one way or the other way. And it doesn't really matter. You're still going to get to the top of the game on either side of the coin now. I mean, you've got John Rahm, Dustin, Brooks, Cam, myself, and the likes of many others on Live that pull a decent amount of weight in the public eye. And I think that's fantastic. And as we continue to improve our product, I hope that the same thing occurs with the tour and eventually come to a place where we can come back together in a cool way. I'll say this, I love Live, and I don't think I would really want to play on the PGA Tour. And would I love to play in some events? For sure. I'd love to help out the communities. That is something I've always wanted to do, whether it be the Shriners where I've won, or Arnold Palmer, or Jack Nicklaus's event. Just supporting those communities is something I'm massively a fan of, as well as going globally with Live Golf and playing across the globe and inspiring a younger generation and others to pick up a golf club and go hit some golf balls. So again, I don't know where I'm necessarily going with that, but I think it just shows you the state of the game is so jumbled that my thoughts are kind of widespread about all of it right now. And I hope that we can, again, come back together from a YouTube side of the coin too, just bringing in like other platforms to say, hey, how can we holistically bring all this in and create more eyeballs to the sport? Because it is unfortunately declining a little bit, and we've got to create a ramp back up.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, speaking of your YouTube channel, I wanted to ask, because I think Jerry, of all amongst the three of us, I think he needs the most help with social media, but I need some help as well. So help us out and share, what are some of the keys or maybe even secrets to being a successful content creator like yourself and being able to get those eyeballs? I mean, you have millions and millions of views on your channel. It's strategic. I mean, we didn't just throw it together and hope that it works. Like, there's been a huge plan for a long period of time since 2020. I brought in some people to try and do some video work for me, and things have switched and moved around, but eventually I've found somewhat of a formula. And this has been behind the scenes for a long time. It's not something that just came about last year and, oh my gosh, here we were having success. I wasn't posting when I was struggling. Like, it's strategic. Everything's pretty strategic. Because I was trying to figure out my game. Like, the most important thing was figuring out my game. And then once I got to a place where I was like, okay, I can produce content now. I've got more time. I don't have to worry about that stuff as much. It then allowed me to free flow out and start collaborating with content creators and seeing the success of, whether it be Good or Bob Does Sports, or Grant Horvat, Micah, GM Golf, like whatever channel it is. That's been an eye-opener to me from the analytics side of the coin. I've really gone deep into some of the analytics, as well as my team behind the coin. I work with an agency called AKA Collective, and they have greatly enhanced, as well as being friends, they've greatly enhanced my ability to showcase who I truly am. Because in 2020, the media's viewpoint on me was quite a bit different than who I know I am. And that was the frustrating piece that I had. And that's ultimately why I started all this. I said, look, you know what? I want people to see me for who I truly am and what I'm doing behind the scene, and how much I care about growing the game and how much I care about inspiring junior golfers. So ultimately, they just got to a point where I said, I need to take this in-house and figure out how to decentralize it a bit. And
bring a little bit of the power back in my side of the court so that I could start plotting the narrative that I know is true.
Yeah.
Do-
Yeah. Well,
do you think?
it's super fun watching it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
I guess so. I watched your one club challenge with Sergio. I love that. That was fun.
Oh
That
yeah,
was a lot of fun.
it's so funny. I wanted to play 9 holes with him, and he wanted to play one club. I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, the 9 holes with you is going to get so many more views. But it was okay. We had a great time, and he kicked my butt, and I played terrible. I was swinging it bad that day, and he showed me, as a Spaniard can with their hands, and how to control the golf ball a little bit more.
I like the one with
my
Phil. I think the
smash and
Phil one was
bash.
my favorite. Phil
Yeah.
was my favorite, I think. It's
Playing a one club challenge with a Spaniard who learned a lot
Not
of shots from Seve. Just not a wise
No,
shot.
no.
You were handicapped from
He should have played
Hey.
me like that in the Ryder Cup. Probably would have done a little bit better, but you know.
So, talking about social media, and Suan's right. I'm a dinosaur. I'm a relic. I talked to a lot of people who only watch live digitally, even when it's available on their TV, because that's all they watch. I mean, my stepson, a couple doors down, he never watches a TV channel, ever watches a TV channel.
Yeah.
Everything's on YouTube. Everything's online. With the advent of content creation, whatever the hell that means, and social media, do you think, given, a dinosaur comes from a generation where the reporter or the commentator always got the last word, now the players are able to, as you choose your own words, drive your own narrative. Do you think that has changed the landscape, the way you guys are viewed personally and collectively as a profession?
I think it should. I think it should open the doors to truth a little bit better. Doesn't mean that, broadcasters have done that all the time in the past. They've sometimes over amplified some people, right? Compared to what some people know behind closed doors. So it's not really saying it's the right or wrong answer. It's just another way. And, going back to, it's not easy to do what we're doing over here. I mean, you have to have not only the right content, but you needed to have the ability to produce it as well. There's a huge strategic play to how to produce content. And that's what I think a lot of people miss, is it's a lot of just pump out massive amounts of social media, but it's difficult to get that engagement and that loyal following because of certain things that are not thought of. And I'm not going to give it here because it's very strategic on our end. And the reason why we're doing it, one, the most important thing is so that people can understand what I'm doing. And two, we want to continue to have them engage so they can see who I am truthfully. This isn't some fake play. This is legitimately like who I am and what I'm trying to accomplish for the game of golf. There's nothing more to say other than that.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think one of the things, I think you're our first player that agreed to get mic'd up for the entire round. And
Exactly.
the packages that we got from that, all 3 rounds were fascinating.
Yep. And even when I struggled and played bad the last day, like I was not happy. You could obviously tell. And
we were
something that you're going to be able to see. So it's the reality. It's not reality TV. It's the reality, actual reality. Right. And so, these fans are going to have a way closer relationship with me because they're right up next to me every single second of the day through YouTube or through other platforms. And I think that's crucial and huge. And you're going to start to see, and that's why I think a lot of players are afraid to do it, because they don't truly want them to know necessarily who they are. Right. And I'm like, nah, come bring it in. Like, this is who I am. That's just, you obviously heard everything and you guys have seen everything from the rounds that I played. And I get very frustrated. And there are times where I'm not happy. There are times where I'm like, oh, that was sick. That was awesome. And so you get to truly see what somebody's doing out there compared to sometimes what's been delivered in a way to shape a certain type of narrative for whatever strategic reason that others have. Anyway.
Yeah. Do you think that some of those guys who say they don't really feel comfortable with letting people in to see who they really are, don't you think there are some of them, I can think of a few on Live right now, who the viewer doesn't really know, because they don't do much social media and they live their life kind of insular, and they're not exactly older guys either. I think that if they just let people know who they are, they would see the side of them that I see. You see a different side of them, and
I mean,
Joanne does. That is extremely likable.
Yeah,
extremely
exactly.
Likable.
And I'll give you two examples: Cam Smith and Dustin Johnson.
Yeah.
I mean, they're completely different. Well, not completely different. They are different when they're talking to me as a competitor. You see who they truly are. Like Cam Smith cares so much about how he performs, but it doesn't necessarily show. He seems a lot lighthearted and fun and correct. And so, seeing that side, sometimes I don't know necessarily, but sometimes that could be scary to them because they're like, I want them to know who I am in that way. Right. And DJ's a really good dude. Like, as much as people give him a hard time, like he's a good dude. He cares about being the best he possibly can be. Yeah, he loves fishing, but he's a good dude, and John Rahm, super passionate. Another one of those guys.
Yeah.
Very smart. He's a super passionate Spaniard that's incredibly smart and savvy and understands, by the way, he does understand the content side of the coin. And that's strategic play. But, at a certain point in time, it's not easy to do it. I'll say this. It's I don't know how to get this across more other than it's very difficult to accomplish. And you got to have the right team around you to be able to do it effectively.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I was, as I was watching your YouTube episodes, I started thinking, because I was watching and you were in the house with your friends, you had a whole bunch of friends at your place.
Which video was this?
This was the one that got you in trouble.
Week on tour.
Yeah, so many of your friends in the house. You're just, just doing what a normal person would do. And I love, like you said, it just shows the real you, shows what you do in your off time. What do you do, when you had a shitty day on the golf course, you went to go take a look at your house and get your mind off all that stuff. And I think that was so awesome because I think a lot of people can relate to that. It doesn't matter if you play golf or you don't play golf. Everyone has bad days, right? And everyone needs a kind of an outlet to forget about it. But it did occur to me in the time, I was like, what would Bryson be doing if he didn't play golf? Like, what would you be doing if you weren't a professional golfer? Well, I was sitting there going, just there's so many you're such a fascinating human being. And I'm sitting there going, what would he do if he didn't play golf?
Man, I don't know. I mean, first off, I know this. I'd probably be playing ping pong or something. I love ping pong.
You do have that ball machine that's in your house.
I've always been super competitive, and also I love being the best version of myself. So I know it would be something around health, sports, anything that relates to improvement. So, whether it's sports kinesiology or something like that, or ping pong, or even if I played another sport, totally possible. Physics major, learning more about the world around me, learning more about myself, which I've kind of done already. My body has changed tremendously throughout the years and gotten to a place where I'm really happy and comfortable, and in a place where I feel healthy for the first time in a long, long time, and just stable in that health.
When you talk about the commitment to always wanting to be the best version of yourself, and it certainly sounds like you've been that way your whole life. Does that come more from your mom, Jan, or dad, John?
I'll say that it came from, if I can be completely transparent here, it came from a lot of people saying I couldn't do anything with my life. So it was a lot of people saying, you're never going to be good at golf with that swing. You're not going to be as athletic as you think you can be. You have Osgood-Schlatter's in knees. You're never going to be able to run. You're never going to be able to walk for long, long periods of time. Failing a lot in my own right, just not accomplishing what I think I can do. And then having to sit in a room by myself and go, am I going to keep going? A lot of personal perseverance and transforming my brain on my own to say, no, I'm not going to accept this failure. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to do this. So it was a lot of personal, and look, my mom and dad had a huge impact in pushing me. My dad was very resistant to a lot of the things that I wanted to try and do to get better. And a lot of the times he was right, but I just had to go through that process of failing to know what was right. And so I actually applaud him for pushing me on those things to help me go down the right path. but it also pushed me in a direction where I could learn quickly what was right and what was wrong. So if he didn't have this, like, oh, kind of do whatever, no, I probably wouldn't have gone down as many roads. But because he was so persistent on one type of thought process, I would do the complete opposite and then get kicked in the butt and then learn, okay, yeah, you're right. Okay, cool. And then there were some things that I was right on too. And it wasn't ever a bad thing. It was more of a back and forth sort of thing. So I got to thank my mom and my dad for that passion that they had for me in my life.
How far back? You talked about those people telling you that you can't do it and you're never going to be athletic. How far back does that go?
No, I mean,
when did that start?
When I was a young kid. I mean, I don't know. It was a long time ago.
As a junior golfer type thing.
I always remember people telling me that, no, you can't win this tournament because it's your first tournament you've ever entered. And I went and won it. Like, just, I'd hear from other parents and other kids just subtly, like they'd be yelling, oh, he's not going to do anything. Oh, it's not a big, I just hear it out of the corner as I was walking away or whatever. But they weren't trying to be mean about it. They're just telling their kid, like, oh, don't worry about him. Or whether it was soccer, baseball. It's funny, in baseball, I was in 3rd grade, I believe, and they put me up to like 6th grade level because I was pretty solid hitting a ball and could field pretty well. And there's a kid throwing like a 55-mile-an-hour pitch at me. I went from like a coach's pitch to like a kid throwing 55 miles an hour. And I almost got hit by the ball, and it freaked me out enough to where I was like, okay, I'm good with that. But I was never afraid to try things and go beyond my limits. And I think that's what has suited me super well. And I've been scared of a lot of things. Like, I was super scared of heights growing up. My dad made me push through it. So that's one of the things that people don't know is I went on the 2nd tallest roller coaster in the world back in the 90s. It was in Vegas. It was in Prim, Nevada, I think, or something like that. Yeah, that yellow, tall, super tall one. It was like a big, it may have been the 2nd biggest in the country. I don't know exactly what it was, but I was definitely not tall to ride that ride. And my dad put me on it. And as I was going over the top, I actually lost my breath because I was so freaked out. I was like, I was hyperventilating. I was actually kind of slipping out a little bit of the seat, and I was like holding onto the seat.
Oh my God.
And my dad was like, it's okay. You're good. No big deal. So yeah, I gotta thank my dad for that. I was not happy about that one bit after. My mom was.
Did it work? Are you not afraid of heights anymore?
No, I'm fine now. I was afraid of heights for a long time. I'll tell you.
You're talking after that roller coaster ride, you're terrified.
Oh, I was messed up for a long time. So I got to think.
So how did you get over it though? How did
I get over it? Just being in the situation long enough. And then how did I get over it? Funny enough, realizing you can only control what you can control, and you got to stay in your own bubble and realize the space that you're in. And once I realized the space that I was in, and I can just control what I'm at, it doesn't matter where I'm at. It could be 1,000,000 feet in the air or whatever. I could be wherever, it doesn't matter. And there's a lot of golf, like just getting into a bubble in my own environment so that nobody could affect me under high pressure situations. And that was the same thing when I took it to every application in life. Once I realized that on tour.
Would you skydive now?
Yes, I wanted to skydive. I tried to in Boston 2 years ago, but legally I couldn't.
Dude, it's awesome.
Dude, terrible.
Wait,
awesome. We got your agent listening in over here, and a few other people on your team. Brett, dude, just, I mean, come on, talk some sense into the guy. You don't want to go skydiving.
It is literally the best thing ever. It is the best. It's the most. It's literally.
I actually want to go to space more than skydive, if I'm being honest.
Now that
that would not surprise me.
I would want to go to the moon. Like, I would legit go. If there was a way to go to the moon in the next like 3 years, I'd prep for it. I'd totally do it.
That's not going to surprise a soul. That you
no, it shouldn't. I'm crazy in that regard, in a good way, I hope.
Now you say you were told you couldn't do things, but you fought through. I mean, when you won the U.S. Amateur Division I college individual
NCAA's and U.S. Amateur in the same year. Yeah,
in the same year.
I think you're the 5th player, right?
Fifth player
to do that, and then to do that with a U.S. Open in your career. Only Jack and Tiger have done that. You've done things that a lot of people told you couldn't do, even when you were a standout amateur golfer, even when you turned pro. You can't hit irons the same length. You'll never be any good. Your wedge game's always going to suck because your wedges are too long. You can't use grips that big. You just can't do it. You can't learn to put on that much more speed, overpower a golf course, and not lose your short game. You won the U.S. Open by 6 shots. It wasn't all with the driver. It was a really hot putter that week too. Where does that
shot 58 last year too?
Yes, I know. I remember that. It was incredible.
Yeah, I know, right?
Where does that? I just. Greg Norman once told me, and this goes way back. It didn't tell me, but he told a meeting full of players on the Australian tour in 1988 or 89. And he basically said the difference between me and you guys is you think you can do it. I know I can do it. I believe in myself. Self-belief is the one thing you just cannot teach in the game. You can teach all the technique in the world. Can't teach someone to believe in themselves. Where did that conviction come from? Has that always been a part of your DNA?
You know, it's funny. It came from me failing a lot and being comfortable failing.
It's a very uncomfortable feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, for most, it's very uncomfortable. But for me, and yeah, it sucks. I get mad, I get frustrated. But at the end of the day, when I fail, at 9, I'm able to go, how can I improve? How can I make that never happen again? I think that's what sets me apart. So in every situation, when somebody tells me, you can't do this, I'm like, yeah, I can. And then I don't do it. I go, okay, how do I change something to make it happen? So it's through a lot of iteration. I fail as quickly and as often as I can, making sure that I'll learn from those mistakes, obviously, to improve myself. That's just how I do it.
Well, with that said, for the young people who might be listening in or watching this on YouTube or on our Live Golf Plus app, would that be the advice you would give to young people?
Actually,
now?
if they're yes, 100%. Look, there's failure that you can't obviously come back from, making sure you don't fail that hard. But failing enough to be like, man, this really sucks. I don't like this. And having a support system around you go, no, you can do it. It's okay. It's okay. Let's figure out how to get it done. Let's ask the right questions. I think that's the most important thing I can tell any junior out there, anybody out there that's listening to this is if you can ask the right question when you fail, you are 50% of the way towards success and towards winning. The other 50% is just doing it.
What are some of the right questions?
Well, it depends on the situation. It doesn't, it's not one question for one, for everything. It's a question for one thing. So for example, let's say you go fail and you fail in a playoff. You don't win a playoff in a tournament. I'm just giving a weird example. You ask yourself, why didn't I play that hole well? And then you can go down the list of, well, it was because I didn't hit my tee shot right, or I didn't hit my wedge shot right, or I didn't calculate this into it, or I didn't adjust for this, and so it's a lot of iteration and going, okay, what's the next question? What's the next question? What is the actual problem that's going on that's leading to this continual failure or to this failure, specific failure? And so you can ask, there's plenty of questions that you can ask, and it could be anything in life, that I can go, why did I feel terrible this morning? Why did my stomach ache this morning? Well, it's because I ate pancakes this morning, or whatever it is. And you go try to go down the road and figure it out. So the most important thing when failing is asking the right question. And it may not necessarily be the right question right off the bat. But if you continue to ask and you go through all the possibilities, you'll eventually come up with the right answer.
You guys, you've won what, 8 times on the PGA Tour, twice on Live, once in Europe, once on the
3 times on Live. We won the team championship.
3 times individually.
Jerry.
I'm talking about individually. I'm talking about because ultimately, as well as anybody, you're going to be judged in the history books by your performance in major championships. You won one. You were the only player to finish under par at Winged Foot the year you won. And that was the COVID year too, right? 2020.
That was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your confidence heading into the major season now, which is just around the corner? Is your confidence higher than it was in the last couple of years?
It's higher than it's probably ever been, but I don't want to put expectation levels on myself. There's no need to. I've got equipment that really works very well for me, and I'm in a place with the equipment that allows me to showcase my full skill set. And there's a couple of tweaks with the swing that are going to happen every once in a while, but for the most part, I can compete anywhere and everywhere now. And I'm excited to showcase that ability because I haven't really had that since I've played professional golf. I mean, there were a couple times where I felt pretty good, but I just couldn't put all 4 rounds together for whatever reason it was and whatever situation it was. Now that I've got a better handle on my equipment, I really feel like I can compete every single week and week in and week out. Doesn't matter if it's a live event, doesn't matter if it's a major. I feel like everywhere I can win.
Let's talk about the OWGR because I want to hear your thoughts about that. I'm sure you have a few.
Yeah.
I think Greg tweeted something and he said it's laughable. Liv would have 2 players in the top 50 OWGR if you exclude recent signees, and your name is not in the top 50 of the OWGR, which blows my mind. Just purely watching the way you've played, especially in the last 7-8 months.
Yeah.
It is laughable that you're not the top 50 player in the world. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, I have words that I would love to say, but you can't about it. They say, oh, they haven't said one thing or the other. Not doing anything is deciding. And that's frustrating. You know, they said you need certain requirements. We have fulfilled all those requirements despite what everybody thinks. If you go look at their handbook, we have fulfilled every single criteria. It's been over 2 years now. What's going on, guys? You know, and so it's a bit frustrating, but nothing we can do at this moment is we showcase ourselves in the major championships. There's no way they can keep us out. We just got to play well in the majors, and once we do, they have no other choice.
I say we as though I'm a player. We did that last year. I don't think the OWGR matters anymore, honestly. The conversation, if they started giving live players points now, it would be they're so far behind they'd never catch back up. Right? They've won that battle as a bargaining chip. The PJ Tour has.
And by the way, we knew that. Everyone on our side knew that going into this. That is exactly
talk
what
about
they were
that.
going to do. Exactly what they were going to do. Well, I'll talk about it. I mean, we all knew. We all knew that that was their leverage point. That's the leverage they had. It's the majors. It's those associations that have the leverage and they want golf to be a certain way. And you know what? Ultimately, they don't decide. It's the players that ultimately decide. Because if we all stopped playing, we all said, "Nah, we're good. We don't need to play." What do you think would happen?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, the fans suffer from all that, right?
Absolutely.
I mean,
it's again,
the most important thing.
It's
right?
the thing that I come back to most.
Yeah.
Started off this podcast. I said, the death to egos is what needs to occur on all sides.
Yeah.
And if that can happen, I think that's a step in the right direction for the game of golf.
Well, I'm firmly convinced because I have a huge belief in people. I have huge belief in institutions that the 4 majors, if not this year, I think some 1 or 2 will break away this year, and then it'll all be over. They'll figure out their own way to guarantee that which their institutions covet
and
above all else, and that is to guarantee the best field they can get, and they'll figure out a way to do it. It's not that difficult.
Exactly. And look, you could take the top 10 or 12 points or money earners or points earners on live golf.
Yeah.
I mean,
there is a way around it, right? There is a way around it.
There is a way around it, but it takes away, like Bryson says, it takes away their one last remaining bargaining chip leverage to them.
And we wanted to play ball. Everybody wanted to play ball last year. When everything went down, they started talking and negotiating. It's taken quite a bit of time again to try to figure things out. And we're in February. It's going to be almost a year now, here in a couple months, since that definitive agreement came about. And you know, I'm personally excited to see where the game goes. I hope that everybody has the right intentions.
Yeah, I think it's the same for us, you know, especially as golf fans. I think at the very least, we hope that they would make the right decision.
That's right.
Speaking of the majors, you already won the US Open. What's the next one like that you have your eyes on? Like, obviously you want to win all of them. I get it. But like, which is the other one that you
I've always wanted to win the Masters. Ever since I was an amateur, and before that, when I was growing up watching Tiger chip in on 16, that really kind of sold it for me. I was like, okay, this is the next event I want to win, and the prestige behind it. And the air around it. And then when I saw Augusta and experienced the people there and the pro shop, the people in the pro shop work, they're the head pros that are there. Fantastic. Everybody's just great. And I certainly love coming back there every single year. And I believe I'm going to get it done one of these days. It's just a matter of time and continued hard work and learning from my failures.
I think you'll look good in a green jacket.
I think I did shave a little bit, but you know,
they might have to fit the guns in there for all your muscles there.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully you'd be the most jacked, green jacket winner. That'd be cool.
Just think of the content you would, because you get to keep it for a year. Just think of the
content.
Oh
my gosh.
Oh, geez.
Remember Tiger at Thanksgiving, him wearing the green jacket at Thanksgiving or something like that?
Yeah.
Or whatever he did, or had the trophy and this, like that sort of, that would be cool, just to do stuff like that. That'd be fun.
I remember P Reed was at like a drive-through at 1 or 2 in the morning in his green jacket. Probably. Sunday night. Yeah.
That sounds like P Reed.
Yeah, it does. I have one last question. I wanted to ask you about your mom and your dad, because but I don't want to get you emotional. So, as you know, your dad and I said we were college teammates. We called each other college teammates. He actually had finished his eligibility before I transferred to Arizona. John DeChambeau. He was an extremely long ball striker. I got to play with him a few times. I wasn't short as a kid, but he was really long. How old were you the first time you actually could get it out past him?
It was probably like 15 that I could do it every once in a while, because he was starting to get older then. Yeah, he was 50 at that point. And no offense, that might hurt. That may hurt. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Between you and Gooch, I might as well put on the depends right now.
Well, you could add Gooch's age and my age up, and we wouldn't hit you. But no, I'm kidding. Don't hurt me. But no, that was the first time that I was able to kind of hit it past him. It was like 14 or 15 type time frame. And it was funny. I trained to hit it far, but it was unique techniques. It was never like in the gym originally. It was like taking a broom and going through a field and just sweeping as hard as I could through it, keeping like, flat left wrist and extension and just like all that sort of fun stuff. And so I learned how to gain speed naturally through hitting through grass and through a bunker as hard as I could, and just doing alternative techniques. And they're great ways to do it. That's, you don't have to just go to the gym and go in there and get muscular, because bodybuilders they never hit it far. You need that swing technique. And I think going through like a big field of grass and swinging through that can help gain you some speed if you don't have any other tools or tricks in the bag. But that's kind of what I did. I don't know, growing up.
How do your dad react to that when you first outdrove him?
I mean,
proud.
Well, I remember when I first beat him, and he was not happy, actually. He was like, gosh, dang it, my son actually beat me. I'm never letting that happen again, is what he said. And then I continued to beat him after that. So but no, he was actually a very good putter. That's the thing that was very underrated with him. I remember he used this weird ping looking putter, and I was not a great putter growing up, and he would always beat me. He would just make putts after make putts. And I couldn't believe him. He have a 12-footer and just knock it right in like it was nothing. I'm like, how are you doing that? I don't know. I can't do that. I'm so nervous over it. I can't. And he just had his feel with him, and he didn't know how to explain it very well, but he tried. And ultimately I found something that worked for me. But that was actually the most impressive thing that he had, was his putting. He was an unbelievable putter, and I envied him.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap it up, and I'm gonna ask you one final question.
Okay.
You've been through a lot, I think, in the last few years.
No, nothing at all. It's been super simple and streamlined and easy, and all that. Nothing crazy.
What have you learned about yourself the most in the last few years?
I know it sounds kind of corny and somewhat cliche, but what I started off with, the death to egos, is probably one of the most important things in life in general, especially nowadays. There's so many people that have a belief or position, or this is what it has to be, or has to be like this, or I don't want to talk to you, or this is ridiculous. And their attitude goes out through the roof real quick. And a lot of that's ego driven and self-centeredness driven. And I think that's a really poor way to live life. I think there's look, everybody gets mad. Everybody gets frustrated. I still get mad. I get mad at people around me. I get mad at someone else, or it doesn't matter. But always coming back to the world that was created with people that were the same level as you beforehand. Like, everybody had egos beforehand. Everybody did things in a certain way. So don't think you're revolutionary or crazy or cool and new, fresh, compared to the people that lived beforehand. Don't think you're so much better or whatnot than everybody else, because there's a lot of smart people that have come up before you. And I think going through life where it's got to be this way or the highway is a very difficult way to go through life, and you hurt a lot of people. And I fully transparently believe that the death to egos is the thing that helps us come back together. For example, why have people on my team that are older than me is because they're a lot wiser than me. And I wanted that input. And so what I mean by death to egos is that, yeah, I'm a captain, but these guys that I have around me are a lot smarter than me, and I'm willing to lean on them because they understand the world that's going on from a different lens. And so why I say death to egos is because you can look at life through multiple lenses and gain an opportunity to see life in a unique way that hasn't previously been seen before, because there's a lot of amazing info out there. And I think that's important. And in solidifying all this, what I've learned the most, you have to let yourself look through different lenses and be okay with others' perspective, and accumulate it and be able to look through the lens that you see fit based on what you've brought in. Death to egos is like a super important thing.
Well, that's some very, very good advice, I think.
I think I'm going to get a hat, DTE. I like it. I mean, I love it. That's a great way to end it. That's great sage advice.
Yeah.
Seriously. I know Sue Ann will say goodbye to you officially for the podcast, but thanks for your time, dude. Seriously, letting us peel back the layers and letting people, I mean, I know you're old pro at it, but I think seeing a side of you that they don't ever get to see with us knuckleheads asking you questions. Thanks.
That's great. I had a great time. I appreciate it. And that's the whole point, is this podcast and podcasts alike, and the different places I go on. I hope people can continue to see what we're all trying to create. It's not just me. Like I said, that the egos, it's not just me. It's you interviewing me and Sue Ann interviewing and everybody coming together to figure this thing out and help grow the game.
Yeah, Bryson, thank you so much. That's some great stuff. So much for other people to learn. And thank you for showing us the real you, thank you for being fearless and just having no ego, like you said, and just showing who you are as a real person. So we appreciate it. Appreciate the transparency, and we'll let you go and have a good night.
Thank you.
And we'll see you in a few days in Jeddah.
That's right. Yeah. See you soon. Can't wait for it.
Yes. Safe travels, man.
Take it easy.
Bye.
Wow. That was pretty awesome. And I you know what I appreciate the most about him, and I got to spend some time with him during hang time. He is so transparent, and it takes, like he mentioned, it takes, really being not comfortable, but in some ways you're comfortable with who you really are, and to show that I mean, he's got millions, right? I think he's got like 800,000 followers on his YouTube page, and so to be able to show that and show vulnerabilities and all that stuff, I think it's absolutely just brilliant.
The cool part to me is he's always been true to himself. He didn't, when he turned pro, there was a lot of jealousy out there because of, number one, what he accomplished. Number two, some of the stuff he would say about what he wanted to accomplish came across a little cocky. And and the establishment sometimes didn't really embrace him, and there was a lot of fun poked at him, and a lot of people who thought he's anything but genuine. The thing that is really cool to me is he hasn't changed since then till now, but you just know, we know him a lot better now, and you realize that was what made him what he is today, is being, he was always genuine. He always wore his heart on his sleeve. I mean, if he's pissed off, you're going to know it. If he's happy, you're going to know it. But
and look, he got
there's
so
nothing
much shit
fake
for
about
being...
him. There's nothing fake about him.
Yeah, I mean, he got so much shit for being different, right? He did everything
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
different at the time, you know, and still does. But I think people are just a bit more accepting of his methods and his mindsets and stuff. But at the time, I mean, he was getting a lot of crap, you know, and I don't know, like you said, it's just that is why I think what he's doing with his socials is such a great thing, because that gives people an insight into him and not be misunderstood, right? So yeah, no, wow, that was
well, his, talk about being different, his pursuit of distance basically changed the professional game. You got the Scott Fawcett decade system. He was the first guy to really go out there and say, I'm going to put on a ton more yardage. Hopefully I can keep in the fairway, but if not, the closer I get it to the green, no matter where I hit it, I'm going to be better off. And now everybody from the time they learn how to lace their shoes, is now all they're taught is to hit it as far as you can, hit it as close to the green as you can, be damned with getting it in the fairway. He changed the professional game quite a bit single-handedly.
Yeah, I mean, just watching him play now, it's such a different game. He plays a different game. Just like, he has 5 wedges in his bag, right? It's just
well, that's a technicality, though.
It is a technicality, but still, even then, though, like he hits his drive, just hits it as hard as he can,
right?
And he just wedges in,
Yep.
And it's a different game. Anyway, thank you for joining us on our podcast. If you like the podcast, please do subscribe, and you can find us wherever you get your podcast. And if you'd like to catch this on video, you can catch it on our Live Golf Plus streaming app, as well as our YouTube Live Golf channel. I guess I'll see you in Jeddah, Jerry Foltz, Jelly Farts.
Yes, I'm going to come up with a very, I'm going to shove that thing in your nostrils. Yes, I'll see you in Jeddah. I can't wait, Sue and Heng. And we don't have our own YouTube channel, do we? See, now I'm all into this content thing.
No, we're on our Live Golf YouTube channel.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm going to start a YouTube channel. Yeah. I don't know what that means, but yeah. All right.
I would love to watch that entire process unfold and just
I'm
how
surrounded
clueless
by
you would how clueless you would be. Anyways, we'll see you in Jeddah. Safe travels. And we'll
need me to bring anything from the States?
No.
Okay.
No.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.